All right, I got a welcome. All right. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to the month of March. As you know, for those of you that were here last Sunday, we had a very wonderful Wall of Appreciation unveiling ceremony. So I hope you were able to see the wall. And if you didn't have a chance to see it last week, please make sure you go. It's right down this hallway after service. Definitely take a look at it. It came out to be a really, really wonderful project. This weekend also is our Sacramento Betsuin basketball tournament, right? So there's a little less young ones here in the Hondo seats today, but we still have a good number of people that came out. So that's where they are. They're playing basketball. And it's also the weekend of the BCA National Conference, which is being held in San Jose. So a lot of our other board members are attending that conference as well. I think they're still making their way back. So there's always a lot going on here at the Betsuin, right? So for those of you that are my Facebook friends, you already know this, but a couple weeks ago, someone forwarded me a little email, and they said, hey, they're having auditions for the national anthem at Rayleigh Field for the River Cats, right? It wasn't for me, it was for Ellie, my daughter, okay? It wasn't, don't worry, it wasn't for me. So I said, hey, that's awesome, let's give it a try. It's an open audition, we went in there with no expectations, so we thought it was kind of cool. So you're supposed to send in a little video audition, and then they're gonna choose the top 50 people, and then you get to go audition at Rayleigh Field. So I said, oh, that would be cool to just get an audition. So I went into the Kaikon with Ellie, and then the Kaikon has really good acoustics, so we just recorded a little national anthem there real quick, and we sent it in. And fortunately, Ellie got a callback for one of the top 50. It's like 50 people. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. So, but it was kind of cool to go down there. We got to go down, drive to Rayleigh Field. Not for the Mega Drop Girl Scout cookie pickup, but actually get to go there when it's calm. And it's neat because you get there a little bit early, and then you're looking at everybody in the line, right? You're looking at them, you're sizing them up. I wonder if she's any good. I wonder if that person's any good, right? And you're like, gosh, it's a River Cats. Don't be so competitive. And it's interesting because as you look at people, complete strangers who you never met before, you're looking at them, and what are you doing? You're making assumptions about them. You're sizing them up. I remember we saw, people go together to support each other, so we saw like a family, and Jan and I were looking at her. I bet you it's the little daughter that's going up. She's auditioning, because she's got those little fancy boots on. Look at her little fancy dress, and you're making all these assumptions. And what's interesting is, as people start to go up, you're always kind of surprised, aren't you? You're always kind of surprised. Do you guys remember watching those singing shows like American Idol? Of course, you all remember that. American Idol and The Voice, right? Anytime a singer would go up, they'd be like, hello, how you doing? I'm Kenny. I'm going to sing a song for you. I don't know. But you go up there, and you have an expectation of what their voice is going to sound like, solely based on appearance, right? And how often are we completely wrong? How often is our first impression just completely wrong? And so the national anthem is so unique because the national anthem's a tough song, right? It's a tough song. It has a really wide vocal range. You got to breathe a lot. You have to sing it very, very regal and emotional, right? And it's tough. And if you start like at the wrong note, you're just in trouble. It's like chanting Junidai. If you Keshu Tenin, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, I'm not gonna be able to, you know it's gonna get higher, and you can't stop. You just gotta keep going. So we saw a lot of that at the anthem too. So it's cool. There was one girl we saw. She was up there, this young gal, she's cute, real pretty, had her makeup done, had her boots on, and we said, oh, she's gonna be good. We expected a lot, and she was good, but she threw me for a loop. I didn't expect her to have all this hand action, right? So she was up there, and everybody starts great, oh, say, can you see? But then, towards the end, by the dawn's early light, I was so proud. And I was like, what happened, It started off so good, and it just went, and it just, there was so much hand motion, it got so distracting, And so already my expectations were all shot. And I remember the next gal that went up, she just looked like she just woke up. I'm not criticizing. This is not a place of criticism. Observation, okay? So, she just walked up there. She had just a blue sweatshirt, looked like she didn't comb her hair, she just walked up there. And, she's a big gal, so I expected like this big booming voice. And then she goes up there, oh, the robots we've watched. I didn't expect it. My favorite one was and there's always one. Like I say, I prefer a classical national anthem. I like it straight. You know what I mean? Not with any R&B flair and all that. So another young gal went up. She started beautifully, right? It was a beautiful voice, and then she just had to go there. Man, it was beautiful, and I was like, oh, she's going to be really, really good. And then right up until, what is it? Oh, it's gave proof through the night, and she was like, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. And I was like, why? It was beautiful up to that point, and then she just did all that, and the last, this is it, okay? So the last guy went up. I didn't even know he was auditioning. We saw him at the bottom of the elevator. The guy has a Giants jacket on. He's this young guy. He looks like this total sports fan. I thought he was like a commentator or something, because he's just like, he's a young dude, got his Giants thing on, jersey, tennis shoes, and he walked up there, and then all of a sudden, he gets up to audition. And I was like, whoa, this guy's gonna have a young hip-hop flair? And he just surprised me, right? He just walked up, and he was like, oh, say, can you see? And he's got this sports jacket on, and it was just totally, the point is every single person that auditioned gave me a complete different performance than what I anticipated. So it really made me think a lot. And what the most interesting thing is, and we learn this in Buddhism, right? That you cannot come to a conclusion about a person without knowing them, right? You cannot come to a conclusion about a person. But Buddhism takes it even one step further. You cannot come to a conclusion about a person even if you do know them. Because people are constantly changing, constantly evolving, right? So we are not supposed to arrive at a conclusion. We always have to strive to keep an open mind and see things truly as they are. So here's where it gets interesting. As we came home, when we're watching them all, right, you make an impression as you're watching them audition. That guy's in key, he's out of key, very nice tone, little flat, whatever. The funny thing is, after you get home, we videotaped them all, of course, right, because we've got to videotape them. After you get home, we started watching the videos of all the performers. And what I found even more interesting was, as I watched the video, it wasn't even how I remembered it. You see what I'm saying? The first guy, I said, oh, that guy was awesome. He was so good while I was watching it. And then I came home and I went, oh, maybe not so much so. So the point I'm trying to make is, even within my own personal judgment, I'm judging myself earlier with myself later. Even that tends to have a difference in perspective and view. And what that teaches us is how much of our personal emotion and ego and our self is transmitted into everything that we experience on a day-to-day basis. How much of your personal self and your ego is being a part of the things that you experience, right? We all experience things differently. And I would be willing to bet if every one of us was at the auditions that day, we would all have different opinions, right, about how the people perform. So I'm going to show you, she missed the cue. I went like this, and I said, so I'm going to show you, okay, this may not work, so don't say anything. Don't say anything yet. When it pops up, don't say anything. It may not work. It's a little bit blurry. I tried my best to adjust the resolution, but I'm going to show you an image. And don't say anything. When I count to 3, I want you to just say out loud who you see. And it's a little blurry, so just don't say anything yet. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh? Say it again. 1, 2, 3. Very interesting. Did everybody hear 2 different answers? Who sees Marilyn Monroe? Fascinating. Who sees Albert Einstein? But how could that be possible? We are looking at the same image, are we not? How can so many different people look at the exact same thing, yet see something differently? Right? And I'm going to leave that up there for you. So don't worry. I'm going to leave that up there for you. And after we finish service, as you come up to Oshoko from the rear, you can see that image and see as your perspective changes, if what you see changes. And for those of you that are in the front too, after your Oshoko, after service, you can walk backwards and see, by changing your position and perspective, see if your image changes as well. The lesson is this. All of us, whether we look at something from our perspective or try to look at it from someone else's perspective, we have to realize that there are more than one way. There is more than one way to look at something, whether it's a problem, whether it's a disagreement, whether it's a conflict. We always have to remember that as right as we think we are, as certain as we are, as much of a firm conclusion that we've come, that we know what we're looking at, if you change your perspective, there may be another way to see it. And that's the important lesson that we have to take away from today. So, like I said, after Yoshoko today, move around and email me later and see if your image changed. Please join me in closing Gassho. Although we think that we are seeing or hearing something so clearly, there is always the possibility that it can be seen or heard in a different way. We must remember to keep our minds open to another possibility and try to adjust our perspective to see things in a different light. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.